everybody, and welcome to the
Wheels Fall Off podcast.
I'm your host, Candace, also known as Spice, from SpiceLifeTv, and this is my beautiful husband and co-host, Creed.
Creed, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? This is the podcast where we discuss relationships reentry, particularly as it pertains to incarcerated individuals.
And why is that, babe?
Because I did 23 years in prison, and the whole time me and this lady was riding together, fighting for love, fighting for justice, fighting for everything that we can get our hands on, and we made it.
So we just want to take y'all with us on this journey of Black love, because we are going to do this until the wheels fall off, and we want y'all to come with us.
100%.
So let's go.
Let's get rolling.
All right, so let's get into our first segment this week, and we're going to start off with the highlights and heartbreaks.
Oh, boy.
So, do you have a highlight? Do you have a heartbreak?
I do, but I always like you to go first.
You go first every time.
Do you?
Yes.
So my highlight is definitely, a long time coming, because I literally been thinking about this like for a week and a half.
Yeah.
And it's not changed at all. That's the thing. So my highlight is you.
Oh.
Yes, it's you. So you've been kind of going through some things as far as like trying to calibrate your life and calibrate how you feeling and whatnot. And the highlight for me was, I feel like you were very honest about how you were feeling. You were honest about what you were going through. A lot of people, especially in close proximity, don't want people to know, how you're feeling, and I don't necessarily feel like myself all the time and whatnot. I feel like you were very communicative. I feel like you were very honest with me as far as like how you were feeling, and just like it helped me help you get through it. Like if you needed me, or if you didn't need me, you needed me to kind of back off a little bit. And a lot of times I feel like in relationships, we at a place where we don't know what to do next because it hasn't been communicated, or sometimes you might not feel right about telling the person. You might not feel right, but you did. You trusted me enough with your feelings and what you were going through to say, yeah, I'm trying to just kind of recalibrate some things with myself, and I'm kind of going through a little bit, so just bear with me. And if I feel like this or act like this is why. And if it was just very, very refreshing, because coming home, we haven't been living together all these years because I've been locked up. So sometimes I feel like I'm in a position where I don't know what to do next in terms of how to be there for you. I feel like you were very, very honest with that. And it gave me so much respect for you, your honesty, honestly. It gave me a lot of respect for you in terms of, if she's feeling this way, she trusts me enough to be there for her. And I just thought that was dope. Aww. Because I honestly don't think if the roles reversed, I would be that forthcoming with my feelings the way you were.
Well, thank you, babe.
I really appreciated that.
I
thought it was very dope, very grown up. You know what I'm saying? Very Black woman, you know what I'm saying, of you. And I really dug it. So that was really the highlight. And you don't know how many times this week I smiled thinking about that.
Well, thanks.
Or while it was happening, I'd be like, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So respect to you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I've really just been trying to take stock in how I feel and what really brings me joy, what brings delight, if it offers me if it brings something to add something to me, but also I'm really focused on making sure that I'm doing that to the people that I have in my life or that I affect. And so because I'm still dealing with some things on the health tip that kind of make that hard to always regulate how I'm feeling, I thought that if I could give anything, it would just to be to let you know what I'm going through, so you don't ever feel like it was you, because I know I've been nuts. And I just know that I haven't been able to like get it always together really quickly, or figure it all out. But I just wanted you to feel like a partner and not someone that you're just having to come home and deal with.
I appreciate that, honestly, because I'm telling you right now, it's almost a lead by example type of thing. Like I said, I probably wouldn't do that in that situation. Roles were reversed.
But you actually have done a lot better with that.
I'm trying to, but that comes from the lead by example thing.
Okay,
like
I
was like, okay, that's how you do it. But that's what that looks like. Or if somebody loves you like I love you, and I know you love me like that, it's like, oh, so that's what she would give me back. Okay.
I like that. That's a good highlight.
It was super highlight for me.
Well, thanks, babe.
Thank you.
Well, my highlight, I'll say, is it kind of had something to do with, it definitely had something to deal with you, and it was more on like the family tip. You haven't shared a whole lot about your family, but one thing, I think if anybody's picked up little bits, there's not a whole lot of family members that you deal with on a regular basis, for whatever reasons you have. And I find that there's been a few relationships within your family that I wanted you to have, because I just know how it's nice, even if I don't, like, even now, I have everybody in my family in my life. But when we have those moments of, like, you remember when? And everybody can laugh on those, like, shared memories or just, like, the commonality. You don't even have to have the memory, but you know the person. So you can just give each other that look and everybody start falling out.
Yeah.
I think those are so important and just necessary. And I know your cousin T is, like, your world, and you love her to death. But I was really, really, really happy and hopeful that your relationship with your niece has been rekindled a little bit. And even though I know there's still a little hesitancy just because it's so new, I just love that you're open to it and that you followed your heart on that. You prayed about it a lot, and you just kind of let God lead you with that. And I think that it's going to restore a lot with both of you. But even just with me and her, our relationship, I'm just excited about that. I'm excited to build my family and include the people I want in it. And I'm glad that you're choosing to include her, because I think that that would be a benefit for her and for us.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool, and I appreciate that, honestly. Yeah, me and God had some discussions about Yaz, and, you know, one of the things as a man I had to realize is, like, I'm very, like, I have information, and then I follow the information. That's it. Like, we're very logical in that sense, right? We just go. But sometimes information can be perceived a certain way, and what I perceived was I just kind of lumped my niece in with a lot of other people, and basically cut off communication because of that. And, you know, like, with her situation, with my niece's situation, you know, she's dealing with a lot. Won't go into it, but one thing more than anything, I noticed that she needs two things. She needs a black man in her life, and she needs her uncle. You know what I'm saying? And I feel those shoes. And then when I thought about it, it was like, what's the reason you're not talking to her? And yeah, I mean, back in the day when I first cut off communication with the fam, I was a different person in terms of it's all or nothing. Like, you do this, it's nothing more. And just lumping her in because she was with them, she had no choice, you know? And I thought it was real dope experience. I think God let that happen in his time.
Yeah.
You know, didn't rush me. She never pushed, you know, and I appreciate her for that.
She respected your boundary.
She did. And so now being back in touch with her, granted, I need to be in touch more, and I don't want her thinking that just because I called that I'm not going to, you know, continue that relationship. I just need her to know everybody gets the same treatment. Like,
you ain't getting no phone calls.
Yeah, I forget to call, I forget to text, but I love you, and this is to Yaz. I love you, and I will always be your uncle, and I appreciate you accepting my call and us being able to rekindle that. So I look forward to what we can do as far as getting closer.
I think that's dope.
Yeah, it's dope.
Well, did you have any heartbreaks?
Ooh. No, I didn't have any heartbreaks.
I did. I can't really go into mine. But what I'll say is that it breaks my heart when I see relationships not work out. That really devastates me, especially when they're people that I really love and care about a lot. And I mean, you always can lend your love and support and your prayers, but when you just see two people that are wonderful people separately and are not able to figure out how to be wonderful people together, it breaks my heart because I love them both. And it's not just that relationship. It seems like there's a couple relationships of close friends of mine that are also falling apart right now too. And so it just it makes me grateful for ours, but it also just makes me really feel for them, because I can't imagine how devastating that is, and because I know that the people involved really do care about people in general, so I do feel like they're trying their best. But yeah, that has never made me feel good.
Yeah, it's sad. And when you're close to somebody that happens to, it's hard not to, like, call yourself to look in the mirror, you know, and find deficiencies in your own relationship. I'm glad that we are as strong as we are, and that's not to say anybody else is weak, but it's just, I'm glad that we're as strong as we are, and I'm definitely glad we're not going through that. But thoughts and prayers are with our family and friends who are going through that stuff, you know, because that hurts.
Yeah, it does.
That hurts. How do you, like, what happens to you when that happens to them? Like, what type of thoughts are you having?
I mean, it always, anytime someone talks about talks about their relationship and it's at the point where they're wanting to end it,
Mm-hmm.
I always want to know, like, I always take reflection, like, oh my God, do we have that problem? Is that something that he said? Or am I saying those things? Like, I do kind of see if that's a temperature check, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But then when people share that they're going through that, like, my heart just instantly breaks because you hear their heart breaking.
Mm-hmm.
You hear how sad they are and how hurt they are. And there's not a whole lot you can do. There's like those cliche things to say, and I believe them. So they're not necessarily cliche, but they're not helpful all the time.
Right.
And I just you don't always know what to do.
Yeah. That stuff is hard.
It's so hard because you just really want to just hold them and hug them and be like, you need to do this and you need to do this, and both of y'all just do it and then like supervise. But they're adults.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
I mean, whether you're getting broken up with or you're doing the breaking up, I feel like it's equally as hard. Mm-hmm. And everybody understands that, hey, if somebody breaks up with you or whatever, it's like, man, you feel bad for them because they probably didn't see that coming or whatever. But you need to understand that whoever has to make the decision to do the breaking up, that's equally as hard on that person.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, for sure.
It's a lot of thought and contemplation and you know, just like, oh, I could do this or I could do that, because you actually love the person. So you have to come to that decision and tell that person. You imagine how hard that was, you know? So, yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with our peeps right now.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's get into the second segment, which has now become, I think it's just going to be part of the show, because every week now we've been getting more and more questions, which I love. Mm-hmm. So this is part of the Ice Girls. Okay. And so this Ice Girls actually motivated the theme of the, or the topic of the show. So the question is, were you guys ever able to rent a jail cabin? Mm-hmm. And that's from my girl Shannon. Thank you, Shannon. Mm-hmm. So were we ever able to rent a jail cabin is the question. Mm-hmm. So what I'll start off by saying is there's tons of different terms people have for jail cabins, conjugal visits, what other thing? They call them all kinds of things.
Yeah, trailers.
Yeah, you might hear us refer to it as a trailer. In Washington, the official name is Extended Family Visit, which is shortened to EFVs. And those are granted to people who are incarcerated, not jail, which we explained that last time. Jail is when you have a year and a day. So anybody who's incarcerated, who is, they're either married or they can have the visits by immediate family members. Mm-hmm. And they have to be on your approved visitation list before they can be considered for that. If it's immediate family, I believe you can apply instantly, can't you? If they're
immediate family, yes.
Now, if it's your wife or your wife, it has to be your wife. You either have to be married before you come in to prison, before you were incarcerated, or when you do get in prison and get married, you have to wait a year after that marriage date to then get your visit, which has changed because it used to be you could get married and then had to wait 3 years. But now it's down to 1 year before you could get qualified to have these visits.
And it also used to be if you were married before you came in, you still had to wait a year.
Exactly.
You had to be in DLC for a year. They monitor your activity, your infractions, and all that stuff, and then you can apply after a year.
So now that doesn't happen?
Now, as far as I know, it doesn't happen.
If you come in married, you just get to go.
You get to go.
So that's what the EFVs are. So explain, were we able to rent them?
Mm-hmm. We absolutely were.
We
were
did.
able to do that.
We were able to rent them, and you actually do rent them. You have to pay, and I believe it was $10 a day, which we'd always do the 48-hour visit, so it'd be $20. Mm-hmm. We had to send in a postal money order. It had to be a postal money order, which was so annoying.
Because you had to go to the
post office, and who has time to do that? So anyway, you go to the postal money order, or go to the post office, get your money order for your $20. You send it into the visiting coordinator, and you had to send that in as a confirmation of the date, I believe. Mm-hmm. So I'd always have extra on my books, like extra on the books, so that if she gave me a date, she could automatically just confirm it. Otherwise, they make you... they'll give you the date, and then you got to send your money in to like hold your spot, but by that time it could be passed, it could be gone. So I always had like an extra $20 or $40 just as a cushion, because I didn't want nobody. I need the date right then. As soon as you tell me, you sign it up. So yeah, is there anything I'm missing for that part?
No, I mean, you get the date, and
we're just talking about the rental part. because we'll tell the other part for the show.
Okay. Yeah. That was pretty much it.
Yeah. So you do rent them. You had to pay, and that supposedly that money was supposed to go to like the supplies that they would provide in the EFE.
Called the Inmate Betterment Fund.
Inmate Betterment Fund. That's right. I had to write that out on my money order. Paid to the order of the Inmate Betterment Fund. Those that money went towards was like the paper towels or the cleaning supplies. Sometimes it would be the plastic forks and utensils.
The games that they bought for the visit room.
The games that they bought for the or the movies, the videos that they let you buy. Which we'll get into all of that when we talk more about the topic. But so you were able to rent them.
Yeah.
Depending on the facility would depend on how often you get to rent them. The most we got was like once every 30 days. Yeah. That was rich. that was royalty. Getting once every 30 days was very unlikely. So when we got to places that had that, it was like, what?
The cool part about it, I don't know if you remember, we were actually trying to get to places. That started dictating where we were trying to go. Because I'd be like, babe, they get these like every 28 days.
Because, when you come to the bigger places, or actually, it wasn't even necessarily the bigger places. It was just the places that had more marriage population.
Yes.
That was always the issue. The places that had a lot of people married, you have to compete with time with them. So we try to find the institutions that have a smaller population of married people so that we can kind of get in these visits more regularly.
Yeah, that's right.
That's kind of how we worked it for a while. Remember when you had to go all the way to Clallam Bay? And that was the only benefit, was that Clallam Bay was 3 hours from me. 4 hours from me. And so I wasn't trying to make that drive every weekend like I was doing normal visits, an hour, maybe 2 at the most. 4 hours was a bit much with working full time and all that kind of stuff. So we just would get our trailers once every month. And so I would just go up there for 2 days, drive the 4 hours, spend the 2 days, and then drive the 4 hours back. And that kind of made it worth it.
Yeah.
And we did that for what? It wasn't quite a year.
I was there for 6 months and we got 5 trailers. Because it took me a month to get approved. But then after that, we was rolling.
And Clallam Bay was the one that you walk through the prison. Like, that was the most prison I'd ever been in. I was kind of like, oh, God.
I remember.
I'm in here.
Yeah, I remember. I was looking at you when you was walking. I'll never forget you was wearing the purple pants.
Which... Okay, I was wearing the purple pants for my man. Normally when you walk through, you're just walking into your cabin. You're not walking where guys can see you from their cell. And I was literally walking through and guys were standing in their cell and I'm wearing these purple pants that are just basically like, hey, everybody.
Yeah. But remember there was one guy that was supposed to go through a door. They popped that door for him like 3-4 times because the officers on the inside pop the door and then you open it. It's a metal door. They popped that door and he's like this looking at you. Pop, and I think I said to you, like, you need to go in that door because it started.
I was nervous, y'all. It was really interesting.
Yeah, you was in the joint then.
I felt in the joint there.
Definitely
that was like, dang, I'm in prison right now.
That was cement. It was cold.
But you could hear the clanks of the bars. You saw the guys in their cell. Ooh, that was different.
Yeah, it was a trip.
You had to walk through for that. But anyway. Yeah. Roll us into our topic for today.
What's our topic for today?
The topic is that EFV, the extended family visits. We got to tell them what goes into that.
Let's do it. Let's hip them.
Those visits, y'all. What I will say is that if you're able to get those, they change the way time is done for sure. Like, we didn't get them until our 12th year in. We were 12 years in?
First one was in 2012. We was 14 in.
Oh, 14 in, yeah. So we didn't get ours till 2012, and so it was a long time coming. And they weren't doing them for a minute when we first started, right? I think when you first got locked up, they had suspended them.
I think you might be right, but I can't remember.
There was something, and there was also another reason that we didn't get them because they had changed like the marriage requirements or something.
Yeah, but that didn't affect us though. It didn't affect us. What
was it then?
I'm trying to think. I don't think that there was a delay. I can't really remember.
There was. Well, the delay was that we weren't married.
Yeah.
And that we needed to get married, but then when we got married, remember we were going to still have to wait the 3 years, and that was what I was just not willing to do.
Yeah.
Because I I mean, maybe it was princess complex. I just felt like I'm more married to this man than anybody I ever knew to be married. And you're trying to tell me now I got to wait additional 3 years?
Yeah. And I was like, I need these. We submitted the proper paperwork, got approved, and we was in there.
We were in there.
Very first one was like a couple weeks after your birthday.
It was August of
31st.
Yep, 31st of 2012, I believe. Yep. Because I also had a family reunion that month, and I started a new job, and I had told them I need all that time off because I'm not missing none of that.
Yes.
Okay, so to get an EFV, like we said, you have to be married. If you're not immediate family, you have to be married.
Right.
So you turn in the paperwork. You get married. You turn in your marriage certificate,
your birth certificate,
all of these documents that they're requiring.
Mm-hmm.
I have to submit some stuff on my end, and then you have to submit some stuff, and then you turn it in, and they give you what's called a FRMT.
And the FRMT is basically a review. And when you go to the review, you're going to have your counselor, you're going to have your unit supervisor, which is called a CUS. You're going to have all the counselors actually are there with the CUS, and sometimes there may be a representative from administration. And so they're in there, and what they do is they review your infraction history, they review your whole packet to make sure all the paperwork is in order. Then they go to records, and that's where your marriage certificate is. And they go check that, and then they say yay or nay based upon.
Then you have to go and sit in front of them.
Yes. So I'm in the room with them. Oh, I didn't clarify that. My fault. So at this review, I'm in the room with all these people, and they're basically asking me questions about basically my mind state, because you're about to be going into a trailer visit with somebody from the streets, and they want to make sure that you're of good mind state. I was in there for a violent crime, so they make sure I'm not a violent person.
Which, if you have a domestic violence, you do not qualify.
You don't qualify.
If you have, is it a sexual crime?
No, yeah, sex offenders are going out there. It was just domestic violence.
Which is crazy. So sex offenders can go out there, but people with domestic violence, and it doesn't matter what the domestic violence was. It could have been you and your mom having a deal, or you could have had something with your last lady. Any crime or anything that has DV on it, you cannot go out there.
100%, and it can be in the 4th degree. If the police is called during a domestic dispute and it's on record, you're not going to trailer.
Which I can understand, but I don't understand I guess I don't understand across the board, because if you're saying that, like, you know, if there's a murderer that can go out there, you're not afraid he's going to murder that person.
Yeah. But
and if there's a sex offender out there, you're not afraid that they're going to do that to that person, but you know what I mean?
Understandable, but remember the rule came in place because somebody who had a domestic violence damn near killed his woman out there.
That's true.
And so that was the reason why they put that in effect. They felt like people with domestic violence could not cohabitate even for 48 hours together without being violent, so we're cutting that all the way out. Thing is, it was a guy that did that to his girl in the trailer, and I mean, he did what he did. He got violent with her, and even used a knife and whatnot, and they're still together to this day.
How did he get a knife?
I don't know. He probably used one of them butter knives or something.
Ooh.
But he did what he did. She ends up suing Department of Corrections, getting a lot of money, and then to find out years later they still together. So they were like, nah, if you got a domestic violence, you're not coming out here. So that's not an issue with us. And we made it out there, and it was dope.
Okay, relax.
It was dope, y'all.
It was.
I'm telling you.
It was. Our first one was at Monroe. And so Monroe is medium, right? Is medium and max?
It was medium, yeah.
Okay, it was medium.
Yeah.
And so they had 5 different trailers. And so we ended up getting a big trailer the first one, I think.
We was all the way in the back.
It had 2 bathrooms.
Yeah. We was all the way in the back, and we had a big lot out there too. Because it was separated from people.
So, okay, let me start from the beginning. So once we find, okay.
Before you say that, I got approved in May, and our trailer wasn't until August 31st. So we had months of anticipation.
Yes.
Let that
Which
be
was
known.
also one of the downsides of being at Monroe, is that you'd probably get 2 a year. Because there was so many people, and it just wasn't, they didn't have a lot of turnover with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to wait about 5-6 months before we got or 3 months. Yeah, 3 months before we got our first trailer. And so I'm trying to learn everything I'm supposed to learn and find out everything that I'm supposed to find out. What I do find out is that the one thing I found out quickly, which was it was going to be expensive, was that when they told me that I had to have brand new sealed spices.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I was like, wait, what? And brand new sealed spices every time. Mm-hmm. So, if you're trying to use a garlic powder, at the one point, I had like 6 or 7 garlic powders. I had 3 Johnny seasonings.
How many peanut butters do you have?
I had so many different peanut butters. I had all these different, because you had to buy everything and it had to be in sealed containers. So every single thing that you wanted to eat for trailer, it had to be, or EFV, sorry, those are the same. They had to be in the sealed container, and you had to bring brand new sealed containers every time. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, if it was the main food, no big deal. But the little things like mayonnaise, I'm a single woman. I don't need 3 jars of mayonnaise. I had so many different jars of ketchup and So one thing I did learn, which this is my little tip, if anybody's out here doing it, I can't remember the company. I think it was called like Munchie Pack or Munchies or something like that. But find you a condiment company that they, like groceries or restaurants and stuff, order. And I just started ordering things like that because they all came individually packaged. So I would buy individual syrups, individual ketchup, mustard, salt, pepper. If they had little any seasoning packets, I'd buy those. I would buy everything just individual so that I'd only use what I needed and I could not have to buy brand new things every time.
Sure did, babe.
And that used to be a game changer. And even the guards, when I would come through, they'd always be like, we love when you come through. Everything is so nice and neat because I put everything in a clear plastic bag so they could see, like, this is my syrup, this is my thing. One thing I will also say is if you can be organized, that will give you so much grace with the people, the guards. When you are just having way too much stuff and it's just stuff everywhere and you're just throwing things and things aren't opened right or correctly or packaged correctly, it's such a mess.
So do they kind of get an attitude?
They get an attitude, and then you become someone that they look at because now they don't want to go through your stuff. So they're looking at stuff to rip you out, to kick you out because you've made a mess now and you're just a problem.
Yeah.
So don't be a problem. That's the hardest thing is like just figuring out how to not be a problem. I made sure that my system was so streamlined. They barely even had to open a bag because you could see everything I had. Everything was labeled. Everything was marked. Everything was right. If it was needed to be in its container, it was in its container. And I had another one to transfer it in. So it was all nice and neat. Like I got that system down.
You did. I'll never forget when you first started doing those packets and you kind of told me over the phone like, oh, I found something different. You gonna see? And you didn't tell me. You get to the trailer and the very first thing you do is you open up one of those bins and you pulled out a Ziploc bag with all these condiment packets in it. You was like, boom. Like you was so proud of yourself for finding that. And I remember standing there looking at it like, yeah, that's what it was. I was like, and you were just like, I was like, okay, babe. And you was like, the process is so much faster now.
It was so much faster. And then, I mean, one thing I will say too is once you kind of get in the know with them and they kind of know what to expect, they weren't looking through my stuff or really going through too much because they could just kind of tell. Like, they knew what they were looking for. It was not a whole lot of contraband. At least I knew how to pack it, so they wasn't looking for what they thought they was looking for.
In addition, for sure. And in addition to you having to have brand new packages, didn't they also not allow you to bring glass? And a lot of stuff came in glass jars, so you had to go find stuff in plastic jars.
Oh, my gosh. So that was the other thing. Everything had to be, nothing could be in glass or in a metal. So anything in like a can, any kind of canned food, you would have to bring your can opener, open your cans, transfer it over. I figured out, let's do either fresh or frozen. If we're not doing fresh or frozen, I would do the can with the pop lid. You don't have to have the can opener. And I would put that can inside of the plastic baggie, like the Ziploc baggie I was going to transfer everything into. So when a lot of times they would make you do it, but because I was busy doing other things and they already had it ready, they would just be doing it for me. A lot of it would save time for me because they would just help me out because it was so easy for them. But I remember the biggest thing that was hard at first was because we didn't have, like I used coconut oil for my moisturizer, my lotion and oil. And that was a cheat code too because I always had that on hand so I didn't ever have to like go and buy new stuff. However, at the very beginning when coconut oil wasn't really popular yet, it was only in glass cans, glass jars. And anything that was in a glass jar, like I said, you had to remove it. But my very first trailer, I didn't know that you had to remove it out of the can in front of them. So I had come with all of my glass jars, put everything in the baggies already, thinking like, oh yeah, okay, let me, because it says nothing can be in a glass jar. It doesn't say must be transferred in front of the guard.
Does not say that.
It doesn't say that. So I had transferred everything in there, and there was quite a few things that they weren't going to let me in with. And I had to go and beg this white woman. I said, ma'am, we don't have any other moisturizer for 2 days. We are going to be ashy if we cannot take this coconut oil. Is there any way? Can you just smell it and go? Because it was clear, and she was looking at me, and I was like I won't have anything for my skin. And I think she gave me a pass.
Yeah.
And we got to have the coconut oil.
That's crazy. Because usually white people don't understand that.
No, because she at first was like, I was like, I use that for my skin. But it was starting to become a thing, so I think that's why she kind of gave me a pass. But, man, packing and so, that was the other thing. All the food that you'd have to bring in would need to be already chopped and sliced because they don't give you anything over a butter knife. And a lot of times they're even plastic. They don't even give you real butter knives. So all of your vegetables, all your herbs and spices, everything like that, you'd have to bring them all cut up and sliced up.
Could you tell the people about what that process was like? Because you used to go shopping the night before and you used to go kind of late, right?
Yeah, so that was the other thing is a lot of times I would be going shopping because I would plan our visits around the nearest payday because it was always an expense going to trailer. Like I said, you're buying stuff you don't need, so you're buying a lot of replicated stuff. So I would go the night, so I'd get off of work and then I'd go shopping. And sometimes I didn't tell you this. I didn't tell you this until recently, but sometimes I would have to go shopping twice because I wouldn't have all my money. And so like let's say payday was on Thursday and trailer was on that Friday. I would be trying to get stuff together all week. So I might go and shop and get maybe like, $30 of the stuff that I could afford so that I have that and could get that prepped and ready. But then Thursday night when my paycheck don't hit until midnight, I would have to stay up late to wait till that paycheck hit. And sometimes it would hit as early as 10. And I would have my money in my account, and then I'd go take my black tail of Winco at 10 o'clock at night after I'd already talked to you, and you thought I was in for the night and ready to go, and then do my shopping then. I hadn't even shopped all the way.
That's crazy.
And you would think I was already done shopping and ready to go, but I was waiting for my money to hit so I could get what we needed to go, and then get home. It'd be after midnight, cutting everything up, packaging everything, unpackaging everything, getting all my clothes and stuff together, not getting into bed until like 3 or 4, and still being all wound up and like, what's going on? It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
And that's why you used to crash when you used to get to the
That's
trailer.
why I crashed, and I said, you need to get you some milk.
Nah, you ain't gonna use that. You ain't gonna use that.
That's why I was like, you need to get some milk,
You ain't gonna
babe.
use that. But respect to your grinding and hustle, babe. I appreciate you working for us. Speaking of ashy, I'm a little bit ashy today.
I was going to tell you about that off camera because I didn't want people to see that, but this is the third week in a row that I've seen ash in the camera.
Y'all see this? This is fresh out the shower before I came here, and dealing with the damn dog and washing my hands before I left.
I would just need you to, because folks, you are representing me out here, and you can't be out in these streets ashy like this.
Yeah, man.
Give
me some of that. Some of that good use.
You need that use and get them cracks and get in there. You need more than that.
Give me a little bit more.
Because you need to wet your skin.
I'm talking about dry skin coughing over here, y'all.
And it's just this. Ooh,
okay, yeah, that's good right there.
Okay, because you got to get that in there.
Cracks and crevices in the hands.
You ain't going to be on camera representing me ashy.
Listen.
And folks talking about me being like, she don't even keep her man in no lotion.
Listen, it'll be all right.
And I just got talking about the coconut oil.
Listen, it'll be all right. 9 times out of 10, dude got ashy hands, mean he whoop ass. Okay. And
is that what it means? Or he's just ashy?
He's a bruiser. He's a bruiser. All right, y'all.
Okay.
That's a little bit better.
Now that we're a little moisturized, thank you for that, because I really was like, this man, you ain't going to be in this camera ashy. I'm going to start doing an ashy
I'm
check.
ashy, but I'm clean.
That's true.
I'm clean. But yeah, you used to crash when you used to get there all the time, and we would get to trailer, put the food away, and then you would just instantly get tired.
Okay, but let's talk about that. Put the food away.
Okay.
Because I thought about this the other day. So you get in, you go to trailer, you haven't seen or been with your man in all this time. Of course, you're just gonna be all over each other. And the first couple, that is exactly how it went down. Until my ice cream started getting melted, or my frozen goods started having to be wasted because we done been in the bed whopping around for hours and hours and hours, and I done forgot about my crab or my ice cream, or just ice in general.
I wasn't mad at all.
And I was mad because you wouldn't have to be up at a midnight.
No. I'm saying I wasn't mad that we had to delay our playtime because we had to put that food away.
Oh,
because
you weren't?
No.
Lies on this day?
I was not mad. I was never mad. Are you trying to make it seem like I was?
When we had to pause to put the food up?
No. I used to tell you could put the stuff away that needs to go in the refrigerator, but you used to want to put everything away, and I used to be like, no, we put that in the refrigerator. So you would come in, put seafood away, put ice cream away.
I feel like you're missing part of that story. I feel like we did graduate to that after my suggestion of that, because you were upset that I was trying to put everything away. But you didn't even want me to. There's many times that you didn't even want me to put the refrigerator stuff in the refrigerator.
That could be true. That could be true.
And I'd be like, let me just put the ice cream in.
I know I was ready, but so that could be true. But
I'd be like, please, just let me get my ice cream in.
I remember, you might be right, because I think I had to come to like a compromise on that.
Because you had an attitude, and I'd be like, listen, I bought all this food, and it's just gonna sit out here and it already been sitting out for a couple hours before I get in the trailer because of the whole process.
No, you're right. You're right. I give you that.
Mr.
But listen,
I didn't have no problem.
I was ready. I was ready.
Okay, before we go forward, so I told you what my 24 hours before trailer was. What was yours?
So after we got approved and everything, and just go to the first trailer, and I'm not knowing what to expect, so I got to go ask some cats that I know that get them and all that. Mine was, it sounds hella selfish, but this is all I could do, right? But mine was like grooming myself and make sure I shave body parts that didn't need to be shaven for years, because I wasn't, dealing with no female, nothing like that on the intimate level. And so I would be shaving. I would be make sure my face is right, get my clothes all washed together that I'm bringing to the trailer, my cosmetics. And I used to have to save lotions and all that type of stuff to make sure that I was good. Oh, no, that's how I did it at first.
Yeah.
And then we learned,
like, stock them up.
So some of them things, them new containers that you had to bring in was like lotions and good smelling stuff. So I would bring damn near empty lotion containers and then just transfer it and just fill it up. So I would have stuff that DOC didn't provide as far as that good quality, like that Eucerin. Like that Eucerin make your hands soft.
And this fool started making requests like, babe, I saw this foot cream.
Yes.
Babe, I saw this hand cream.
Yes.
And I'm getting all these cosmetics so he could transfer me his little thing.
The good deodorant.
The good deodorant, the good toothpaste, the good toothbrushes. Anything I would bring in, I never got to bring back.
Remember how enthralled I was with the toothbrush with the case?
Yes.
I had to have the case. That was so, because nobody had that up in there.
You did.
Yeah,
Or the toothbrushes that had when they started having the rubber around like the bristles.
Yes.
That first one, you were just like so mind blown.
Is that the one you could brush your tongue with? That?
Yes.
Yeah. I was dope. That was dope.
I used to love that. That was always the fun part about trailer, is like whatever I would bring, the excitement you had on your face, because it was literally like Christmas for him. He would be so excited over just like the soap I would bring, or the spices, or anything that was in those bins. He would be so pumped.
Because we didn't see it. Like, I didn't see it all these years I've been incarcerated. Things changed.
Or just the way the containers would change. Like, I remember I brought the squeeze mayonnaise and the mayonnaise and mustard that you could squeeze facing down. Remember that?
Yes.
And now it's so popular. Or like the sour cream in the squeeze container. But for him, it was just like,
no, I distinctly remember with that mayonnaise, I was unscrewing it.
Yeah.
I was trying to take it off. He was like, no, you ain't got to do that. You like it squeeze. And I was like, show me. Like, I did not believe there was such thing as squeeze mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Best food, baby.
I used to love when you would see that. Or he would special request like different snacks he would see on TV. Don't let there be a new treat.
Or a new cereal that I ain't tried yet. Listen, yeah, one of the
He was
staples
like
with us.
Baby D.
Yeah, I would. One of the staples with us
Glitter.
was old-fashioned donuts,
Yeah.
mandatory, and then from there we would just kind of pick whatever we
You remember
fancy.
when we went through that phase where I was making that ice cream cake that Trish put me onto?
Yeah, you made that for my birthday one time.
A couple times I think I made that.
Yeah, you made me sit in the living room. I was in the living room watching the game, and you was around the corner in the kitchen. Now, mind you, we call them trailers because these trailers are literally like trailer homes. They were trailer homes, and you just like you go to any regular trailer home, they just put a bunch of them on the lot, depending on what institution you at. So that's why we call them trailers. But I'm sitting there in the living room, and she's back there just willing and dealing, and she wouldn't let me come in the kitchen. It was my birthday. I was watching the football game.
That's right.
And I came around the corner, and this cake was like, it was nowhere in the world he's gonna finish that cake in 2 days. I don't even know why you made that big ass cake.
Because it was your birthday.
It was so fucking dope, and it was Bombay.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, that was dope.
Yeah, those were fun times.
Like we had a lot of surprises in trailer for both of us. Like that's what we presented each other with gifts.
Hey, the first time when you brought in the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack on the tape.
Yeah.
So we kind of had this thing with this Waiting to Exhale soundtrack, and we had said so many times there was these songs that, like, I had even said, like, I can't wait to hug you and dance with you to this song. Like, I think it was the one Faith Evans sings, I Can't Believe It's Real.
That's exactly.
Oh!
That's exactly the first one I played.
So we had, the first visit, we'd done our first hellos and greeting and all that kind of. Why are you laughing?
Because I just remembered that moment. I'll tell you about it in a minute.
Okay. Well, I don't think it was a funny moment. It was all emotional.
It was super emotional, but do you remember we was in the kitchen, I was sitting on the stool, you was standing between my legs, you were crying.
Yeah.
Do you remember that I had my pants around my ankles with one leg out of it? Yeah, I had my pants around my ankles, one leg was out of it, so they were just hanging on one leg, just dangling, and you just standing there crying. Yeah, now you laughing. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I just thought about that, like, damn, that's crazy. And Faith just a singing, and I can't believe it's real.
And I'm over here just crying.
If you could have took a picture of that, y'all.
Oh, that was so funny.
That was like one of the realest moments we ever had in our relationship because it was real. It was like we can't believe this moment, but to tell you the truth, we was like at the point we was tearing each other clothes off, and then I put that damn CD on. And she broke down.
You put that on as like a surprise because I was not expecting that. You couldn't bring music out there at the time.
I used to sneak stuff out there.
He couldn't bring anything out there, really. Wasn't supposed to anyway. But yeah, so that was a very special moment. Oh, that was one too. I made the candied bacon.
Yes.
That blew your mind. Oh, and I made the lobster and crab mac and cheese.
Yes, you did. Shrimp and lobster. 6 cheese, shrimp and lobster mac and cheese. Right. I'll never forget that.
Was it shrimp and crab or crab and wasn't it?
Or it's crab and lobster. My fault.
Yeah, I thought it was crab and lobster.
Yeah, that shit right there.
Which you couldn't bring the crab shells. You couldn't even bring. We couldn't do seafood in the shells because that was a contraband. Because I guess he could turn the shell into a nice knife and slice me up with it.
I guess.
So I couldn't bring in crab. Nothing in no seafood in its shells. It all had to be in like packages. So we did the best we could, but
so back to the night before.
Yeah.
So I will be getting ready for trailer, shaving everything. Then I had to go to the visiting room, and that's where I would get a book of movies, and I had to pick the movies that we were going to watch that DLC provides. So they have this big binder full of all the cases for all the movies and whatnot. And a lot of times there was a lot of movies in there I hadn't seen because I only get regular cable. And
I could actually bring movies in. They just had to be in the original package, unsealed. I mean, had to be sealed. Couldn't be opened.
Yep. So
at the time, I was buying DVDs, and then you just donate them to the trailer after you bring them in.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of those came in that folder. So I would pick the movie, and then immediately after that, I would leave and I had to go take a UA because before you can go to trailer, the incarcerated individual has to take a UA. If you fail it, you don't get the trailer. It's a wrap. And the thing is, y'all understand, the night before probably 2 days before the trailer, especially the night before, all the way up till you finally get out there is just nerve-wracking because I've seen so many people not make it to the trailer for one reason or another. I remember a dude who went to take his UA. He was going with me, and he got a false positive on his UA. And and so when you get a positive, they immediately cuff you up, take you to the hole. You know, as well as I do, when you go to the hole, you don't get a phone call. So this woman came all the way up there. All the way up there. They turned her around. He finally calls her and tells her what happened. And of course, 9 times out of 10, I don't care if you love me or not. If they say I got a dirty UA, you're going to believe I've been doing something.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that's what she thought. He's probably been doing something, and they came back a week later and said, let him out the hole and said that was a false positive. Did not reschedule his trailer, did not get him get cuts in front of somebody else. So I'm saying that to say it's very nerve-wracking because things like that can happen through no fault of your own.
Mm-hmm.
If there was another guy who was in the chow hall the day before his trailer, and literally he's eating and 2 dudes got into a fight at the table next to him, and because it was such close proximity, they thought he was one of them, so they ended up taking him and this whole table to the hole. He misses his trailer. They reviewed the camera and realized he didn't have nothing to do with it. Let him out the day after his trailer date. And he didn't get it. So those are the type of things that when you're inside, you're stressed out about. You're not guaranteed to make it out there.
So, and on my end, I hear from the ladies where they've done everything that I've done to get up to trailer, and now they finally get there and they pull up just to be told then that trailer's canceled for them.
Yeah.
And you've driven hours. Sometimes people will come hours to get to their trailer. And then visit be canceled, and you've done all of that prep and all of that work, and then there's just a no, and there's no explanation to it.
It happens a lot. And another thing that happens a lot on our end is that there's plenty of times where guys thought they was going to trailer and a woman just didn't show up.
Yeah.
The
woman or the mom or whoever it was
just didn't show up. So you understand the whole unit sees you because you're standing out there waiting to get called. You got your sack full of, your drawers, t-shirts, socks, your sweatsuit. You got that in the laundry bag with all your cosmetics, and you ready. So everybody knows you going. And once trailer time passed and you still there, and now you going back and forth to the phone trying to find out what's happening. That happens a lot too. So I appreciate you never standing your boy up. I really do. You was there every single trailer, but that doesn't happen for a lot of people. So I was stressed out all the way until we got there, and I think a lot of times you could see it on my face, and then I could see the stress you've been through the night before. And we just look at each other and be like,
I know.
And then we would just hug every single
just
time.
Like stand there for a minute just to like, we made it.
Yeah, we made
We're
it.
actually here. But it was always, I just remember like I couldn't breathe until they like let you in, and then they locked the door or locked the gate behind them, and the car drove off.
They were gone, yeah.
I could not relax until they were out of there. Just me being in the room with you was not enough, because if there was a code, if there was anything, I was just afraid that the code would be like, oh, nope, shut it down.
Yep.
So if a code happens, meaning like someone got in a fight or something really
or
bad,
a medical
emergency, let's say Babe was in his unit and that code happened in his unit, and now they're having to lock the unit down for a few hours to investigate or to make sure everybody's safe or whatever the case. That means either I'm waiting or they say, yeah, we're locking it down. There's a code, canceled. So it could be, you could have done everything right and just be you're a victim of being in that unit that the code happened in. Yeah. And now the whole weekend is screwed for us.
It's screwed.
And I've seen that happen where I've been with the other lady waiting for her guy, and so we've kind of had a delay because they normally take us all together, and they're waiting for this guy's code to be cleared, and so then I end up leaving her down there because they're giving her more time to wait, and I think they give you like a cutoff time. If it doesn't clear by this time, it's a done deal.
Yes.
And so they let me go, and it's just like oh girl, I don't even know you, but my heart's breaking for you because like you're not getting to go. It was just, that's always was a gamble.
I remember late in the game, I don't know if you remember this, but I was at camp, and we were supposed to have a trade. We were trying to get my birthday, but somebody took it.
Oh,
Somebody took our date, acting like they didn't know that this was supposed to be a friend of mine, but he took the date knowing that it was my birthday. So with trailers, they would call you.
God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, say your date is out of ways, and they have people that cancel. They'll call certain people and be like, if you're on the cancellation list, hey, you want a date? We got a date sooner to open up. And there was one person that I expressed like, man, if I could get a cancellation for my birthday, it'd be dope. He ended up advocating for that date.
Which
it wasn't
he already
like they
had
just
a
called
date.
him. Yeah,
he already had a date.
Which was a week later.
Right. It was just a week behind ours.
So he ended up taking a date, and then when that date came up, somebody had escaped, and they locked us down, and he didn't end up getting the trailer.
Right.
And he was stuck. So
yeah, he tried to screw us, and it ended up the game gods got him.
Did I tell you how he ended up trying to cop
Oh,
to that? Yeah. He was just like one day.
He looked at your
your
birthday.
He was cleaning his room and I come through. I'm in the hallway and he's just talking to me and he just kind of goes.
On his little name tag. Mind you, the tag
it's
is like
hella little. And
the words are even smaller.
Yeah, he was like, your birthday? Cornball. And I was like, yeah, motherfucker.
He knew because I had talked to his wife about it extensively.
Yeah.
So they knew. And when I found out that that's what happened, I was so pissed. They were done for me. That was a done deal for me.
Yeah,
I never need to talk to them ever again.
Scandalous people, though.
But yeah, over a date. And it was weird because he always was weird like that. Mm-hmm. Like he had to be the first and only.
He did.
Which I didn't get. Like, we all were getting there. We were all going to get there eventually. Like,
yeah. These cats is built different. That's all. They built
so
different.
Much drama.
And that's not a good thing in this case.
There was only one time that we missed the trailer, and it was not of our own fault.
Oh, the
that was when we had this epic snowstorm that it just was not safe. They hadn't canceled it at first, and I was literally like legitimately trying to figure out how to get there. But my car at the time was good, but my tires were not that great, and I could not see myself getting all the way down there. And then if I got down there, it was like, how would I get back? So me and him begrudgingly finally said, okay, we just got to cancel.
Yeah, I was like, we're going to cancel. We're not going to wait for them.
We're not doing it. And then probably a couple hours later, they canceled it.
Yeah,
which was good because that let us get first dibs for the next cancellation. If we had to just cancel it on our own, we got pushed to the bottom of the list. But yeah, that was the only time we didn't make it. But every time up until was always stressful. Yeah. It was stressful until you told me you would pass your UA. Once I started hearing they were doing all those false positives.
Yeah. It was a trip.
It would be
They got
stressful.
a bad batch of UA cups that was giving people false positive, and I'm just like, please don't let that be one of them.
And there was a couple girls that were talking about that had that affect them, and so I would be like, oh God, please.
It was a trip. It was a trip. But yeah, that was the night before for me.
I wanted to say, so we talked about the check-in process, the check-out process. Which for me was pretty much a breeze because I was done. Like I all of the things I needed to do was pretty much done. So when it was time to check out, we'd have to clean. So we'd clean everything we use and clean it to put it back as good as we could because the next person was coming in to use it. Which every time we came in, we'd always have to clean because the people before us would never clean well.
Right.
And the one thing I cannot handle is seeing anybody's hair in no sink or toilet or bathtub I'm supposed to be using, especially not no white hair. Ew, I can't do it.
Can't do it.
So we always would clean. He'd get in there early a lot of times, and he would have cleaned it from top to bottom. So the day we're leaving, we have to do the same thing: clean everything up, put everything back, pack up all of our stuff. And the one thing that I was thinking about the other day that used to give me so much anxiety, and I know was anxiety for you too, was when he came in, they would UA him, and then when he would leave trailer, they would UA him to make sure I wasn't bringing him in stuff, getting him high all weekend. And so he would make sure that he was drinking enough liquid to be able to perform the UA, which is the urine analysis. And he would be doing that, and this was where the catch-22 was, because let's say we knew visit was over at 2. 2:15 comes, we're like, yay, a little few minutes extra time. Sometimes we get a whole extra hour of extra free time of just being together. And it was like borrowed time, so it felt so good. The only problem was that you was having to hold your pee.
Yeah, waiting for them to come whenever they decide to show up. And it could be a code.
It could have
or
been
something
a
like
code.
that they got to pay attention to. Or it could be just be that because usually the same officers that came and got you were the visiting room officers. So if something was going on in the visiting room and they couldn't get down there at your usual time, they would be delayed. But I'm sitting up there holding pee, sweating, uncomfortable. It's just bad. I don't want to go pee because if they show up and I can't pee, that's the same thing as a dirty. So I'm going to lose trailers. So I was stressed out about that.
And he would just be shaking his legs. He'd be, if someone has to pee and you know that it's so uncomfortable for them, for me, I don't know how to be comfortable when people in my vicinity is not comfortable, and I would take on that anxiety where it became where it's like, just come already, this isn't fun anymore because now he's miserable.
It was the worst.
And we're trying to hold each other and enjoy the last few minutes, but the whole time I know your bladder is just like
yeah. And the thing is, it was still a whole process because once they came, they had to take you out.
Yep.
They had to get you all the stuff, load up the van, and then leave.
That's a whole separate trip.
Yeah, and then come back
and
to
then
give me
you
the
have
UA.
to walk hella a lot of times.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like a van to load him up and take him back. A lot of places he would have to walk it back.
You got to walk across the
and
institution.
it would be a long walk with a full bladder. Oh, I would hate that. So then he'd come back, go pee, and then he would call me and talk to me on my way home, unless count was in the middle, a mix.
And 9 times out of 10, that process took so long, you was damn near home. You'd be an hour away and literally be like, I'm pulling in the driveway right now, I'm home. But
that's true.
But yeah, after that, I get back to the unit, put all my stuff in my room, and use the bathroom again, because 9 times out of 10, I still had to go, and immediately call you. And then, before we get to that, before you left Trailer, though, tell the people how it felt when Trailer was ending, because we used to go through it.
We would go through it. So the crazy thing is, like, day one, you're on cloud 9 because you're just so excited, and you're like, oh, we still got a whole full day to have to go.
Facts.
Day one was great. The first evening, amazing, because you're sleeping in the bed with each other. The next morning is beautiful. You're waking up with each other, and you're like getting to start the day together, things you never get to do before. Making food, hanging out, watching movies, like doing everything that you just would do on a typical weekend with your boo. It was about until, I think it was that 4 o'clock count. 4
or 5 o'clock, yeah, every time.
It just started to sink in that, like, okay, this is winding down. And I remember after that 4 or 5 o'clock, whatever that account was that was later in the day or in the later afternoon, that was when it was started for me. But it wasn't until like that 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock time when the sun would start to go down, and you realize like, oh, this is the second night, and then that means tomorrow it's over. That like we both would just. There would be these bouts of silence for a long time, and neither one of us. A lot of times I think we didn't want the other person to know that we were feeling that or thinking that, and not realizing like, oh no, we both ain't been talking for 2 hours now.
Yeah.
Just sitting with each other, like holding each other, just not talking because of the dread.
And I honestly don't think that either one of us wanted to go back to the life we had, because it was without each other.
Gosh,
and that's what we were thinking about.
Cry a little bit.
I know. It would literally, I'll be thinking, of course, going back to being incarcerated, going back inside, and she would think about like going home and to a probably empty house and all that, and it's just, and we wouldn't see each other. That was a lot, man. That was a lot. And so, like, the trailer would end we go on the Friday, get out on the Sunday, and then when the earliest we could see each other was that following Friday. And it was like, damn, babe, I'm gonna miss you.
It was, that was a lot. That was early on. I had to learn how to flip my switch. Remember, I used to tell you, like, leaving him at visit was always hard, especially like the first few years was always so hard leaving visit. It was kind of the same thing. Like the last 2 hours of visit, you just got really sad because you knew it was time to leave. And I think with the EFE, that made that really hard for me, because it was like just moments of being normal and feeling normal, and just having like the world weight just was off of me when I was with you there. And I remember that being such an escape for me. Because at the time, like, when we first started getting trailers, my life was really shitty. I had a lot going on. My mom had died not too long. I mean, it had been a while, but I was dealing with a lot of the aftermath from that. Still with her death, my family, my dad, like all of that stuff. And so you became this escape for me in a lot of ways. Prison just became this escape. And when we started the EFVs, I just had realized like how much I hadn't been really hugged. I didn't get touched a lot in my regular life. And so then like having those moments of where you were just all over me and I could be all over you back, and us just being able to like talk uninterrupted and having conversations where there was just nothing. There was no interruption. There was no phone. There was nobody else. There was no drama with my family. There was none of the mess. It was just like such a safe place for me that I would get really sad about having to return to my life, because it was lonely, and it was just full of loneliness and a lot of sadness, and not a lot of people I could trust, and not a lot of people that I felt supported me or had my back. And I remember like not realizing how much I didn't have that until that very first trailer when we were having to leave. Then it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so alone. I'm so alone, and I'm so like I didn't realize it how deprived I was. That was like the beginning of me realizing that you're not around people that really are filling your cup. But I'm not knowing that then. It just was a beginning for a lot for me.
Yeah, I get that. And
that was a lot.
And I think the same thing was going on with me because, you know, I wasn't one to have like a lot of friends and whatnot, a lot of cats that I let kick it with me, but it was glaringly obvious when I was with you at the trailer that I was with somebody real, and I was about to go back to all these fake Suckerville ass cats, and it was just dawning sometimes, you know. And after spending time and being emotional with somebody and going back to what you have to do, I had to hit the switch too. It was just a different type of switch. But yeah, it wasn't fun at all. It wasn't fun leaving you at all. But we had to do it in order to go to the trailer. We had to get over that little hump. And then tell them about the switch, like what you did.
I was just about to say, like, I honestly think that is one thing that I regret about prison a lot, is that I got so good at flipping that switch that I think I turned off a lot of my emotion and a lot of my feelings about things. Okay, guys, we're going to pause right here because we realize we're running a little bit long. We're going to cut this into 2 pieces, so please stay tuned for part 2.